Pro Wrestling channel. I can't believe I'm coming on air saying this, but Sami Zayn is the WWE Champion. Wow. It really, really caught me by surprise. So much so that doing a stream has caught me by surprise. We'll be back breaking down that and the big stories coming out of Night of Champions right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, once again, welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Scott, and thank you for tuning in on this this special instant reaction review show. I mean, I really didn't expect to be coming on air doing one tonight. Got a lot of things going on this evening. Just felt a bit too crammed, and I thought, you know what, the story coming out of this, I'm sure it'll be a decent show, but I didn't think it'd be as noteworthy as it ended up becoming, especially because of that main event. My goodness. I mean, first of all, I'll give my thoughts on the result. Sami Zayn becoming world champion or a world champion in WWE is great, in my opinion. I am so pleased for him as a performer and myself as a fan. I mean, I was saying on the build-up show earlier on that I know that group of people that want him to be champion has become less and less and less, and I really wanted it to happen as a babyface. We'll touch on that in a little bit, because I guess it kind of was in some ways, but man, like, I'm so pleased for him, and I'm pleased for WWE shaking things up. I was so sure that Cody Rhodes was going to win this one, and it's times like this that make me really glad when I stick with wrestling. Look, it's a big part of my life, don't get me wrong, but look, even in this show I was thinking, I'm gonna half watch it at times and whatever else. I've been dipping in and out of WWE lately. I've just been busy with other commitments and stuff like that, and then you tune in and you see like what's an obvious result and you think, all right, fair enough, decent show, let's move on. But no, like, this hit me at the end. I really was surprised. Again, so much so I wasn't expecting to come on there and do an instant reaction review. Who knows how long we'll go for, but hey, let me know what you thought of the show overall. I've got some comments coming in straight away. What the heck just happened, says Sludge, and says I didn't expect that at all. You and me too, Sludge. Look, I am flabbergasted. I really didn't expect to be coming on air saying that Sami Zayn is the champion. So much so that I was kind of watching it unfold thinking, yeah, don't do it. Not tonight. I'm not really prepared. I was like, and I'd have to talk about it. And that's why I've come on air, because even still, I started to think, is Gunther going to do it? Is Cody? And that's going to be noteworthy, right? If Gunther becomes champion again. But no, they pulled the trigger on Sami Zayn, and it's like the first time I feel in ages where I haven't thought, oh yeah, Sami might do it, or Sami should do it, or, you know, the Saudi connection. You know, we talked about the Royal Rumble, how he maybe could win the Rumble there, or no, maybe not, maybe win the title there, or maybe not, it'll be WrestleMania next year, but even then it would be dwindling in, I guess, importance and stuff like that, as far as like striking while the iron is hot. The iron is very much not as hot as it once was for Sami Zayn, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I think he deserves a WWE World Title on his CV at the end of the day. And I always felt with Sami Zayn, he's not the kind of person. He's not. I don't want another Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. I don't want another Roddy Piper, where you're looking back at their careers and you're going, how did they never become world champion? Especially in the era where you got two world champions. I'm really happy for Sami Zayn and, you know, the guy himself and Sami Zayn fans overall. I think, we're talking about football, yeah. See, so much so, look, Sludge, Andy Gordon in the 11. England's playing in the World Cup. I was getting ready to watch that. I'm going to be getting off watching that very soon. But, man, I had to come on and talk about the end of that show in particular. Like I say, really fun. The way that they started to make me feel, and credits to WWE, they do it often when they go, nah, it couldn't happen, could it? But this one, I'm starting to be like, hold on a minute. I might need to grab my laptop and start doing a little bit of prep. And even still I did it. I thought, nah, that's not going to happen. but it did. Sami Zayn is WWE Champion. For those just tuning in, again, my name is Scott. This is the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Thanks for joining us on this show. We're going to break down some of the big stories coming out of Night of Champions, but there are none bigger than the champion that we saw at the end, and of course that is Sami Zayn. Say none bigger. There was one pretty interesting start to it as well. Of course, the prediction I had was that Oba Femi would win. He did win. So now we're going to see who's going to go after. All of a sudden, I don't know where that's going to go. We got Iyo Sky becoming Queen of the Ring as well, which was really cool. And yeah, we saw Jade Cargill being cost the match by Charlotte, which I, again, full disclosure, was in and out of this PLE at times. I was doing family duties and I didn't even get to see much of that match at all. Then, what else did we have? We had the cage match, which is actually really entertaining as well. I'm really surprised by the result there. Seth Rollins picking up the win, and they really, at the beginning of the match, was hyping up that this was the final chapter in that story. And if that's the case, Seth Rollins should not have won. Entertaining match, but if this is the end of it, Bron Breakker should have won. And then, yeah, like I said, we've got the main event where Sami Zayn is your new WWE Champion. Let's go to the, I guess, card itself and break down some of the big moments that we saw on the show. Again, I didn't even manage to write my notes. Usually I'm writing notes, even if I'm thinking I'm not going to go live, just in case it's needed, just in case we don't do an instant reaction review, but there's going to be another time that I'm going to talk about these matches. I always write notes on a PLE, and tonight I just thought, nah, I'm just gonna eat my pizza and relax, because I'll just enjoy the show, but like it won't be that noteworthy. Man, I'm surprised to have been caught off guard. I'm happy to have been surprised and caught off guard, I should say. So much so I can't even get my words out. Let's start with the opening match, though. As I say, it did open up with your King of the Ring final, and we did see Oba Femi take on Jey Uso. Now, there was talk on our build-up show earlier on, and thank you for those tuning in now, but if you're unfamiliar, our build-up show is basically what we do to get you guys and us hyped up and in the mood for the PLE. And like I say, I was looking forward to the PLE. I was thinking it was going to be a good show. Didn't think it would be as good as it was, or as noteworthy as it was. But yeah, the build-up show is where we talk last-minute rumours and stuff like that, and there weren't really any going around from what I could see about Sami Zayn. I was having some tech issues at the time, so I didn't really notice as much as I might usually, but still, I didn't see people seriously speculating Sami Zayn. The big story, I think, going into this PLE was Oba Femi. I think everybody just assumed he was going to win, except for, as I say on the build-up show, Lucas gave me this theory of what if Jey Uso was to do it and he went after Roman Reigns, and it kind of keeps things not so fresh because we've seen a million storylines interwoven with the bloodline, but it gives them new stories to tell. Not new stories to, it gives them plenty of stories to tell, I guess was the kind of the reasoning behind it. But hey, it wasn't to be. But I got to say, it was a good match. I really enjoyed what Oba Femi and Jey Uso did together, because we've seen so much of Oba Femi doing these kind of quick squashes lately. Yes, Jey is a completely different build and size to Oba Femi, completely different style of wrestler. But I thought they gelled quite well together, and I thought they put on a good show that made both of them look good. Like, Oba looked shocked when he won. And quite emotional as well. And I know it's not a championship, and the King of the Ring has kind of gone up and down as far as prestige goes over the years. But really, you know, it's a great achievement for someone, especially as young and new into this, as I should say, as Oba Femi. And I thought he really showed gratitude and shock to even kind of being given to him. And yeah, I thought he sold that quite well, and he looked great. He looked great with the crown and doing his little pose and that cool little lighting that they do. Yeah, Jey Uso, I think, strange. I still don't know where they're going with him completely. I still don't fully get it all, the bloodline and what they're doing there. But I got to say, I think he's had an incredible 5 or so years. And I'm interested in what they're doing with him. I'm interested to see where they go next with him. And I actually thought he had a good match, like I say, with Oba Femi here. Both of those guys look good. Oba looked, yes, still strong, even though he wasn't dominant. He showed that he can get it done when a match goes in a different direction or takes longer. Because I think you did need to give Jey Uso a lot of offense here to make it feel credible of a final, for example. And just kind of, it did feel like the more obvious answer was to give it to Oba Femi. So I think to make Jey kind of get beat straight away would have made everybody go, yeah, told you, and also not really made Jey look very good either. So for me, I think this was the right way to book it. I was pleasantly surprised how kind of long it felt. But yeah, it was a good opener. A few comments here. Sludge says, I thought Gunther was going to win and Oba would go for him and Brock would join the feud, setting up a triple threat, but they could do the same thing. Instead of Gunther, it'd be Roman. Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about Brock Lesnar on the build-up show and how he might even cost Oba. Like you say there, though, about Gunther, I didn't think about Brock. That's a good point, because there's kind of obviously been rumours about that as well. I was thinking maybe they were going for Gunther and Oba in that main event, because, like I said, it looked like Gunther was getting close to picking up the win as well. So I think the drama in that last bit, when you start thinking about all the possible scenarios at SummerSlam, I thought it was really good. The Combo Chronicles, thank you for joining us again, mate. I appreciate your comments and for coming back. I know you were with us on the build-up show, so thank you for tuning in again. So Sami Zayn, he finally got his moment with a little teary emoji, mate. All right, look, I just, like I said, I wasn't even paying as much attention to the show as I wish I was, because this is a moment that I've wanted to really kind of take in for I've wanted to experience for a long time. Look, we'll touch on that a little bit more when we get back to that match itself, but I agree, man. Like, it's great to see him get that moment. They picked up a win, quite a dominant win here. You did have a few points, but it did like the show. Highlights here and trying to remember some of the stuff that happened. Made sense. Let's move into the next match, though. This is for another crown. This time it was for the Queen of the Ring. It's not for the title that you see in the picture. However, that comes into the story in just a moment. Liv Morgan versus Iyo Sky, again for the Queen of the Ring tournament finals. Another decent match. I quite enjoyed this one. Again, let me just see if there's any kind of big things. Apparently it's 14 minutes, 55 seconds. Oh, it was all about the knee, wasn't it? Iyo was selling the knee for ages, and I feel like this has happened with Iyo before, and I don't want to just bring too much of a negative on it, but at the end, she suddenly didn't have a knee problem for two of her moves that would hit her knee badly. Like, she did the Spanish Fly. Maybe I missed it there. It was all happening very quick, and then she hit the over the moonsault, and I thought, bad knee, eh? Like, I don't remember seeing. Maybe there was, but I just don't remember seeing any selling. Like, they look flawless, both those moves, and because she's such a great performer in that sense. Don't get me wrong, but yeah. So she wins. Liv's on the outside again. An emotional promo from Iyo. She says, "I am the queen," and then just basically goes straight to Liv and says, "Yeah, you see you at SummerSlam," which is such a strange way to do it. But again, it's something we talked about on the build-up show as a possibility that she could, Liv could have been in this to stop someone coming after her. As Lucas mentioned, they did announce a while ago that they can go for either champ, doesn't have to be on their brand, but if it was about their own brand, she could have gone in it to stop people coming after her. Again, I think I've talked about stuff like that as, booking in maybe the Money in the Bank, maybe more so the Chamber or the Rumble to stop someone coming after, like Hill trying to do that. I thought might be an interesting story. But that wasn't what they were doing anyway. They were basically they were playing up to Liv wants to be double champ. Trouble. Didn't quite work out for her. Iyo Sky gets the victory. And it's strange because, like, I know a lot of times in wrestling you see a non-title match set up, now I get a title match. It kind of felt like that, which again, as Lucas kind of pointed out in the build-up show, means this is, and it's just a #1 contendership tournament these days. But I'd like a bit more prestige around the King and Queen. I hope they kind of maybe adopt it into their characters a little bit more. Especially, I think for Oba, it'd be so cool seeing him come out with, a robe or something like that. I think it'd be really cool. Doing a strut with his crown on his head or something. I think it'd be really, really fun. But Iyo as well. Yeah, Iyo could be a Japanese queen and play into it for a little bit with her character. I like this match. I get the story they were trying to tell. Iyo, again, it's strange for her to just straight away be like, yeah, I'm coming after you. But, the fear that you could see in Liv Morgan, I think they played really well into that. She's on the floor being like, you've just beat me. You might do it again, which I think is what they were kind of getting at. Talking about the World Cup, it's like the groups. You face someone in the group stage, yeah? And it matters. Of course it matters. Group stage matters. But then when you face them in the knockouts, or the final, then it really matters. Do you know what I mean? Like England, Croatia, 2018. That's what I'm thinking of. We both played our second teams. But when it comes to the semi-final, they won. Let's move on. Right. Yeah, I enjoyed this. Also, I think they gave away the result at the beginning. They have a little spoiler because she got cursed, right? Danhausen came out and cursed her. And I know that's just a silly thing to say. Like believing in this. But we got to suspend. It's that kind of character, we got to believe that Miz and Kit Wilson are basically zombies at the moment. I thought it was really clever how they did the Knicks prediction, and then they just wait to see how it fell. And I'm sure Los Garza would have had some sort of problem even if the Knicks had won. Yeah, I've liked what they're doing with Danhausen lately, and then Liv's got involved in that a little bit lately, and then just got cursed. It was like, well, Liv's going to lose then, isn't she? Because the curses, as far as I can recall, the curse has worked every time. Like something's happened to someone, and to do it right before the match started, it kind of, I know it's silly to say, but it kind of felt like a spoiler. Spoiler that gave things away. Lucas is in the house as well. It says, I'm assuming they don't want... Oh, here we go. I'm assuming they don't want Oba to beat Cody or Roman, so pull the title change, but Sami should not... No, Lucas, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. Look, you want to talk crap about it. Come on here, mate. Come on here. He said, I have no idea why Liv had to be in Queen of the Ring, just end up in a place where she would have been. Anyways, I agree with you there. I think, again, it was an interesting way to do it, but did it need to be done? And then said, I think they have a big talking point over the weekend too, as AEW is tomorrow. Then you got the NXT show as well. So there's a lot going on. That's a good point, actually, Lucas. You go into a big weekend like this, you want the headlines, don't you? So, and then you got Monday Night Raw to chase that up as well. So whatever happens on Sunday, you're sandwiching it on Monday Night Raw with a bit of storyline progression as well. Again, that's key, storyline progression. This is something that we talked about on the build-up show earlier on. And there were a lot of the guys in our Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling team's chat were annoyed about Clash, because they felt like Clash just didn't progress too much. I felt like there was a new champion in Sol Ruka, but I still get where they're coming from. A lot of PLEs, you go into it thinking not much is going to happen, and not much does happen anymore. Like there's not as much. And I'm not saying there needs to be a 17th member of the bloodline, like each PLE, like there was a few years ago. There was a twist, but it was always the same bloody twist. But then we got to a stage where, like, they were just good. They were good shows, but, like, there was a lot of these shows over the last few years, especially international ones, I felt like, okay, why do I watch next time? Other than being entertained because it's a good show, which might sound like a silly thing. But, there's no hook. There's no kind of like, I can't imagine what they're going to do now. How are they going to solve this? There's been a few things like that over the past few years, but not many. And again, so much so, I went to this show not expecting to see something significant, especially at the end. Right, let's move on to the next match. So that was... Queen of the Ring in the books as well. Then next up we had the match that I gave a bit of a hard time earlier on, just purely because it's not a title match or even for an accolade like King or Queen of the Ring. But yeah, the steel cage match. And again, I said I did think it would be a good match, and I was looking forward to it, and I did really enjoy it. Straight away they got weapons out. Seth got loads out. Bron said, you know what? I'll do the same. He threw weapons in there, and man, it was brutal. Kendo sticks, steel chairs, table spots, including that insane table spot from the top rope where Seth hits Bron with a suplex off of the cage. And then straight away, he starts bleeding, Bron Breakker, and starts trickling around his eye. And I thought, what's happened there? Has he done it before the superplex, or is he as a bit of table chipped up and hit him in the head? It looked like the table did hit him in the head, like the table itself, but I didn't see it being a sharp edge or anything that would do that. Maybe I need to watch it in slow motion or a different angle, but I was really confused as to where it came from. But there's no doubting it was a thing. Like, it was, the blood really started to pile up. You saw the referee put his gloves on pretty quickly, and I think Bron Breakker did well to carry on with that. Whatever it was would have hurt for a start, right? let alone the kind of, the feeling that you can get when you see your own blood, especially when it's unplanned and it's going in your eyes, and it's, probably not really understanding what's going on in that moment. It's hard to kind of have those thoughts and process everything. But he was smart enough to find the camera and basically do this like taunt to be like, I'm angry, it's all over, I'm going to destroy Seth, and does like, he's zigzagging against the ropes and hits him with a big old spear. I thought it was a fun match. When it comes to the ending, not a fan. I don't think Seth Rollins should have won it, especially if this is supposed to be the end. I mean, they said, as they went into the cage, Michael Cole said this is something along the lines of his final chapter in this story. They could have just been hyping it as this is the big match, but if that is it and it's not going to rematch at SummerSlam, then why have we ended this feud with Seth Rollins? I mean, I understand from the point of view of like someone's stable and everybody turns on him. He's a good guy and he's a big legend and whatever. I understand in that sense if you're telling a story like he's come back from injury and he kind of wraps it up. But the story all along, since day one with this storyline, as soon as they started bringing in people like Bron and Bronson, was to put over the young guys, surely, like an evolution type thing with Batista and Randy Orton. They should have been coming out of this with one of those guys on top. Just like, to their credit, Randy Orton became world champion, Batista became world champion, and both storylines revolved around Triple H being jealous and not liking that. Look, you can argue that Triple H got his fair share in that time as well. But for me, this should not have ended with Seth Rollins as the winner, even though I really enjoyed the match. About 19 minutes long, fun one. A few comments here. Lucas says 76 minutes of wrestling over almost 3 hours. There were 6 matches this time. Perhaps Danhausen is on the writing team. Convo Chronicle says he must be getting a lot of human monies for that. If he is, he certainly is. You know what was weird? When he was in London and he was looking at the note and he was like, just $1. Why wasn't he looking at British money? What? Come on. A lot of fantastic spots in the cage match, an instant classic. Big shout there from you, Lucas. Look, I know we saw on the countdown show that WWE had a top 10, didn't, and we even talked about a spot similar to what they put as number 1, where maybe 2 of these guys could fly out the cage. They didn't need it because there were brilliant spots, as you say, beyond that. So a really enjoyable match. Something I also want to mention as well is Michael Cole's microphone was rubbish all night. It felt like he was commentating on an RH show back in 2011. Like, it was fine, clear and crisp until he raised his voice. Corey's mic was the same, and at the end he ended up taking Corey's microphone, and that's when I started to think something big might be happening here, because they want Michael Cole on commentary. But I already thought at the beginning, when there was a big moment in Oba Femi winning and Michael Cole was like muffling into his microphone about it, I thought they might have to reshoot some of this stuff if they want to use it in promo packages and stuff. But yeah, and the same for the Iyo Sky match. I really thought they'd fix it and they didn't, so quite interesting. Next up, we had, going back to the championships matches, because of course this is Night of Champions, it was Trick Williams versus Ricky Starks. Now this is a match again where I was getting a little bit distracted, but I did see some of the kind of key portions of it. We did see Lil Yachty from the very get-go being shunned out of that way because Ricky Starks did the old Guerrero trick where he throws a weapon at someone to make it look like they've done something wrong. So he throws, I think it was a kendo stick, at Lil Yachty. Lil Yachty then pleads the innocence and he's sent to the back. And I instantly thought, Yachty's going to turn. He didn't, but it got my appetite a little bit. Oof. for a little Yachty return, because as me and Lucas were saying earlier on, credit to the guy, he's done incredible since he came in, and he clearly is a fan and he wants to stick around and do well. Like, he's on tour with WWE basically, and I started to think, wow, well, to get the best out of him, do they want to turn him heel? Turn him against Trick Williams, because he made a point saying the other day on SmackDown, I won't work for you, Ricky Saints. And I said to Lucas on the build-up show that I like that, because it made it sound like, this big superstar, he's not just friends and hanging out with Trick. Like, he works with Trick. He's his actual manager. Like, this is a real kind of, working relationship within the confines of wrestling. I thought it was quite good. But then I thought, oh, was that to throw us off? Is he going to join with Ricky Saints? Is that where we're going? Because Ricky Saints, not like he needs a mouthpiece, but like to give him even more heel heat, I think it'd be really cool. Again, not like he needs much more heel heat. He's fantastic at that sort of stuff. But I just thought it gives sympathy to Trick Williams, for example. It would really cement him as a babyface, because that was the awkward thing, right? When they had that kind of semi-turn between him and Sami Zayn, they were doing bad guy things, and they were basically bullying Sami Zayn. And then Sami Zayn turns into a bad guy, and then everybody comes out of WrestleMania cheering the bad guys, more than they had done going into it. So I thought it was weird, because they still had that kind of negative, attitude, especially with having, the celebrity in there as well. So I'm surprised they didn't actually do that. At the end of the match, he come out and he started beating Ricky Saints with it, and I was shocked then. I thought he was going to still, when he come into the ring with the kendo stick, I was like, he's gonna turn. This is it. He's come back. I actually thought, though, when I first thought about it, he'd come down to the ring and everyone would be like, oh, he's trying to support his friend. It's ridiculous that he got sent back. That's how they'd commentate it. And then it looked like he was going to even the odds, like he'd really had enough. Even though he's sent to the back, he really has had enough of Ricky Saints doing his dirty work, and comes out and then hits Trick. Now I want to see that. Now I really want to see that. Lucas says, yeah, Yachty is now a big part of Trick's act. Maybe at one point I was looking at doing a turn, but have since changed course. Yeah, or maybe it will come in the future. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, not that Ricky Saints needs him, but it'll be a cool dynamic. But at the same time, they're clearly friends in real life. Let them work together for a bit and get more out of it as well. But yeah, I also like Ricky Saints being just a twat, doing old school in a really cocky way on the top rope. Trick Williams wins in just over 10 minutes. Saints counting the bookend attempt, but then Trick does catch him eventually with a trick shot and gets him pinned. After the match, Cole was also talking about Saints being a champion one day, and it looked like Saints and Trick might have a little bit of a nice thing to say to each other or something like that. And then, Yachty got in the way before they could. Then we went into the women's US match, and I've got to be honest, guys, this is the match where I don't know if I saw any of this match, so I can't really comment on this one. All I can comment on is the result. I know Tiffany Stratton won. I know that it was due to Charlotte kind of getting involved and kind of screwing Jade. Charlotte and Jade, SummerSlam, surely. Maybe that's the big marquee match she needs now, because, again, I felt that she needed a title, because I love what she's doing in her stable. Again, as Lucas said earlier on, doesn't have a name. Be nice to give her a name as well to really kind of cement that. You don't do it with a vision, but it took a while. It's probably been even longer, to be fair. But yeah, again, can't comment on the match, just on the result, which I feel bad about, because I've been saying for ages, this is the position this match should have been in. The pressure was off now. When they were going for the world title or WWE title, I felt like they were both inexperienced and kind of made each other look bad. They brought out the worst in each other, and I like both these wrestlers, but gotta be honest, wasn't good. So just like when I look back at Charlotte and Tiffany, Charlotte's very experienced, but again, I think that match highlighted some really, really kind of bad points for Tiffany at that time. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get to see it, but apologies and to the ladies, and I hope it was all right. Then let's move into the main event of the evening. Again, why I'm sure many of you have tuned in to see reaction to the fact that Sami Zayn is WWE Champion. I still can't believe I'm saying that. Look, this match, again, even this, I went into it thinking, yeah, cool, like, main event matches take a while to heat up, so we'll just see how this goes. Then they started hitting all the kind of near falls and kind of close calls with like big finishers, announce table spots. And I was thinking, this is like, they're doing a lot in this match, right? And look, that doesn't mean there's going to be a title change, but certainly we're trying to give value in this match towards the end, and make it credible and mean something. And again, when that microphone went and Michael Cole got given his headset from Corey Graves, yeah, I did think it's a deputy thing, you know, like you got to give it to the lead commentator. He's the one more likely to need it if there's going to be a long-term issue here. Get all the sound bites and stuff like that. He's not the color guy, he's the main commentator, so they're going to need that. I mean, I'm sure Corey could do the job, don't get me wrong, but there's a reason why Cole's in that spot, right? They want that those calls. So then I started to think, I feel like there might be an important call coming out, but I'm not sure. But as I say, there was these kickouts and these near falls, there were, you know, haluva kicks and all that kind of stuff. And then every time Cody came back into it, I was like, here it is. You know, Cody hits that big Cody cutter where he dives off the top rope. At the time, Gunther's holding Sami, lets go of him, or Sami wiggles out in that time, hits it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, this is where we're about to do it. Then you get the sleeper on Sami. When it looks like Sami's going to do it, he gets sleeper, and I was like, oh, okay, or maybe it's Gunther though. And then, no, Cody grabs both of them and hits a really cool version of Crossroads by holding two people. I thought it was very kind of a creative way to do that as well. But man, I mean, look, let's just get to the end of it. Sami Zayn is your world champion, or your WWE champion, I should say. But he's a world champion in that company. And I'm just so pleased for him. Like, I really am. I don't know where we go. I don't know where we go from here. I see the negativity from Lucas in the comments, and I do not appreciate that. Like, look, it's not Sami Zayn of the bloodline, and you know, as far as everybody wanted him to do, it's not that period. And they should have pulled the trigger on him in that time. But I understand that they wanted the Cody thing, which they didn't do. They did a whole year after that as well. But that Elimination Chamber period, like even since then, like when they went into, like, they were when he became Intercontinental Champion against Gunther, and they treated it like he won the world title. That really annoyed me. I mean, I've been on record on this channel plenty of times saying that, and even at the time, I was so frustrated with the fact that they acted like he'd won the big one when he'd won the IC title before. He held two before, you know, like he didn't need to win another mid card title, and it really frustrated me. And now they've done it. Like, part of me is annoyed that he's done it not as a babyface, and not as that kind of he's finally done it. Like, I mean, they're playing into that he's finally done it, and he got a big cheer because he's still somewhat liked by the fans that are playing along, right? Me and Lucas talked earlier on about whether or not those in Saudi would play along and be like, no, we're supposed to start booing him a little bit, and him go, even you guys? But they didn't. You know, he come out and he really played into it, and he was like, this is what it should be like. You know, he's basically saying, this is people appreciate me. And I thought, that's a bit of a strange thing to do. Surely you want to really double down on the fact that people, you know, he thinks he's the only good guy. Like, there can't be an audience that still get him. Like, it has to be audience, and that should have been the moment when he goes, hold on a minute, even these guys aren't cheering me anymore. Or, you know, if he goes to Canada, for example, what's going on here? But they didn't do that because they were going to give him a big moment where I guess you kind of get the best of both worlds here, because yes, he's won it as a heel, and he'll go on and be a heel. He's basically a heel now, right? But he won it kind of as a babyface in that situation. You know, when Punk won at Money in the Bank in Chicago, he was the heel, but he was the babyface that night, you know? So Sami Zayn was the babyface tonight. So I'll give him that. And at least we got that. Because my big fear was, if we run this back and we turn him into a babyface in time for Saudi, because I thought Saudi, maybe, WrestleMania, maybe that's their last chance. I didn't think it was tonight, but I thought maybe at WrestleMania. By then, you can play out whatever you're doing with him as a bad guy. You can see the error of his ways and go, it didn't work. Kind of like the John Cena thing. I expected them to do John Cena when, like, he was a heel. I don't think he'd win it, and then he'll go, I need to be a good guy. That's what works. I should never have changed, right? And that's what I thought I might do with Sami Zayn. But no, they've just done it. And even that, I'm not saying I really, really expected that. It's just like, that was the way I could see them kind of doing it and get the best out of it. I still think they've missed the opportunity. They missed the opportunity in the past. But what's more important is the fact that they didn't miss the opportunity in total. Again, whether or not you're happy with Sami at the moment, whether he's your favourite wrestler or not, I think this is a wrestler that deserves to have held a world title in WWE. I think when he hangs up his boots, we shouldn't be saying, just like we are wrongly saying for Razor Ramon, and we are wrongly saying for Roddy Piper and Mr. Perfect, never held a WWE world title. Like, it's a crying shame. And then you look at some of the people that have held titles, and you think, really? Like, nah, just... There had to have been a time. And when you've got 2 titles, yeah, it was tough when you had someone holding the title for 700 and years or whatever it was that Roman had it for. That basically made it 1 title, right? But, or it made it none for a while. Then he created a new title, and that became the only real one you could probably win. And then, you know, it all changed again. You know, when you've got that... So, there's no excuse for having someone like Sami Zayn never being a world champion. Right. Lucas, really not a fan. He says, hopefully Cody invokes rematch clause for Friday and SmackDown and gets it back. Right. I'll break that. Lucas, I thought you're trying to annoy me now. I'll break that into 2 parts, right? Number 1, I don't mind if Sami Zayn loses as quickly. My point is about... Because if he had won it as a babyface, then I want to see what he can do with it. I don't mind. I think he might lose it quickly. I think he might have done it so that Oba can just destroy him. Because he's the cocky character, and he is the heel now. He'll play the heel. He'll be the smug. I knew I could do it. Didn't need you guys. And Oba destroys him, and everyone wants that. And then you get both things, right? So I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is Cody winning it back quickly, because I know that maybe is a means to the ends for you, Lucas, because you want the title of Sami. And Cody is a likely, but you know, he's the kind of character that would do that. They'd book him in that way. But that creates a new problem for me. Why do we need Cody being the champion again? Why has it got to be Cody? So, yeah, not for me. But again, I don't mind if Sami loses it fairly quick. It doesn't have to be a long reign for me. This feels like what they did with Drew McIntyre, which again, you know, we came on there at the time just happy that they'd freshened it up. It was really confusing. Didn't know where they were going to go with Jacob Fatu or anything like that. Still think they did Drew and Jacob a dirty there. They should have been like in a triple threat or a fatal 4-way match at WrestleMania. But this kind of feels similar to that in the sense that they've given it someone else for, don't want to use the T word, but transitional champion. Maybe I will use that word, transitional champion. But that's okay, because the most important thing to me was that Sami Zayn was a champion. We mentioned earlier on the build-up show, and you kind of compared, I think it was even Sami Zayn to Kane, wasn't it, Lucas? You were talking about Kane was never the guy, but it was presented like the guy, and he could be the guy sort of thing. You know, he had, I think, 2 world titles. He had the one with Austin where he did lose it after a day. It could be like that. I think the second one, or maybe a third, he definitely at least won one World Heavyweight Championship, and I remember that kind of period he had unmasked as a champion as well. But same with Kane. Like, Kane needs to be on that list of champions because he was all like, there was a time where Kane was maybe one of the most over wrestlers. Like, you think about that period just before he took off his mask, where he was teaming with RVD. You think about when he first came in and how hot he was with the Undertaker. That feuding when he was with X-Pac, you know, feuding with X-Pac as well. Like, Kane was huge. That time he came back in 2000, and you know, Paul Bearer brings him back in that multi-person match on Raw. Like, that was, for me, like, that's a person that deserves some acknowledgement to be a world champion. At that point, he'd already held the title, don't get me wrong, again for one day after, ironically, I think it was King of the Ring, wasn't it, in 98, in a weird Hell in a Cell match. But, no, that Hell in a Cell, yeah, it weren't, because they just brought the cell down, didn't they? Or they did something weird like that. Anyway, I'm going sidetracked here, but my point is, Sami Zayn needed to be world champion, and he is world champion. Doesn't need to be it for long, but he needed to be a world champion in WWE. I keep saying world, but you know what I'm saying, the world. A world title. But that's it. That kind of brings us towards the end of the show, guys. I didn't expect to come on air, so appreciate those that tuned in and helped me along with comments and things like that. We're about 40 minutes in on a show I didn't expect to do, but that's the power of pro wrestling, right? When it takes you by surprise, it gets us excited and it gets us talking, and that's exactly why I'm in this thing in the first place. A, as a wrestling fan, and B, as someone in the wrestling media as well. Speaking of which, thank you to those that tuned in earlier on for the build-up show. If you did miss it, basically basically what we do here is get you hyped up and in the mood for the PLE. We talk last minute rumors and things like that. Sometimes have our friends from the wrestling media world join us on those streams as well. We did one earlier on where we broke down the card in detail. So if that's your sort of thing, then make sure you tune in. We go live a few hours before the PLE. We'll be doing the same thing for SummerSlam as well. Going to quickly get to some a comment here from Lucas, who says Kane only won 3 world titles, the One Day Reign 98, the ECW run, of course, and the world title in 2010. That's the one I was referring to, the world title in 2010. I was thinking, was it 09? 09, yeah, 2010. ECW run. I'm not counting that. But I know for a period they did treat it as one of the 3 world titles, didn't they? Right, anyway, that does bring us to the end. Like I say, appreciate everyone that tuned in. It's not just previews and reactions to WWE shows that we do on this channel. We also get to interview some of your favourite WWE superstars, including Sami Zayn's best mate, Kevin Owens. We've had a great chat with him on this channel before. We've also had good conversations with the likes of Santos Escobar, the Street Profits, and Rhea Ripley, just to name a few. So if that sounds like the kind of thing you're interested in, please subscribe and check out more of our content. Once again, I've been Scott, and this has been the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Sami Zayn is your WWE Champion, and somehow all is right with the world. I'll see you on the next one.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
See you guys.